Welcome back to Go For Side Effects. I'm your host, Kevin Simon. So this week I wanted to talk about a few little things. I want to talk about my time at the VA today and what I went through, what my experience was, the stuff I talked with the doctors. You know, in the beginning, whenever I start this program, I talked a lot about my stuff, and I've had several guests that have come on, Mike, Larry, Shannon. I had Connor, I had Aaron, and the last guest, Steven. And I thank each and every one of them for coming on to this program and talking to me about what their experience was. And Fernando, especially because he had a lot of letters and he was able to really get out there and talk and tell each and every one of us about what his letters talked about, chemical warfare. So a little bit, I'm going to go a little bit into also, I'm going to start with the VA and what I did today, and then I'm going to go a little bit about some of the stuff that was out there during the Gulf War, of other stuff that some of y'all may not know about, and kind of educate some of the listeners that never been in the military, but the ones in the military will understand what I'm talking about on some of these, on some of this that I'm going to be going over during the Gulf War. Okay, so of course, all y'all know I was in the Navy. I was on the USS San Jose, AFS-7. AFS-7 was auxiliary free store ship. Today, whenever I went into the VA, we had a really good conversation. The first doctor I saw, which takes me about an hour and 30 minutes to get down there. So realistically, 2 hours if there's traffic. When I got there, I got in my truck. I had to walk a little ways, but you walk up. COVID has really changed things, I know, in the past, because you walk up, they screen you, they check your temperature, they give you a sticker, you walk in the door, they send you a text message that actually says, hey, before you come up, you need to text us and we'll tell you when to come in. They don't do that anymore. Even though it says to do it, now you walk up, they ask you a quick question, they scan your forehead, and they tell you to go on in. So I walked in, and my first appointment was the urologist, over my kidney stones and what causes them. And she didn't really have much to say. So what I wanted to do today was, when I walked in there, I want to ask them questions so I can bring to the podcast without them really knowing I'm asking the questions, bring the podcast. You can almost tell she did not want to answer anything. I asked her questions about, what me and Mike talked about, men and women who are having sexual problems as far as burning and stuff we've seen on the Gulf War illness pages. And she was like, well, I've never really heard of that. I don't know how in the heck you're a urologist and you've never heard of that, because it's a very common thing. And especially with the Gulf War vets, there's a lot of veterans out there that are going through this problem, and she's never heard of it. But the whole time, when I was there, I walked in. I only waited in the waiting room for her for 20 minutes, and it was in. 5 minutes later, I was out the door. It was like quick. You know what? Hey, I'm done with you. And she's like, I don't need to see you back here, even though I've had 36 kidney stones and 2 major operations. So, but she didn't want to see me anymore unless I started having the episodes. And for anybody with kidney stones, I didn't know this. I've had them ever since 1991. That you can literally drink water, squeeze real lemon, not lemon juice, real lemons into your water, and it dissolves them. I had no idea about that at all. And all my kidney doctors ever said is, you got calcium. Don't eat ice cream. Don't drink milk. So I suffered all these years without eating ice cream. My next appointment was at 1:30, and I showed up at 1 o'clock, signed in. They took me back there, and I'll tell you how bad COVID messed things up is a lot of their people have switched areas. There's a lot more COVID nurses than there are your regular nurses now. So I think the VA in Houston is having a hard time with COVID because their nurses are short-staffed. Of course, they check the vital signs, your weight, and everything, which I maintained my weight, which I'm very glad. I haven't lost any. I haven't gained any, so I'm very happy about that. So whenever I went in there, I waited for about 30 minutes. The neurologist, he brought me back. I absolutely love my neurologist. My neurologist is a very good guy, in which most of y'all know, and I was told y'all last one that I had an appointment this week for my head shaking. And so he ended up saying that they did a Parkinson's test. I do not have Parkinson's. I have something called nervous essential head tremors. And he says, which is very common in most men, especially when they get older. And he was like, you take it as a pyramid. Most people have it, don't even realize it. He said, you get halfway in the pyramid, your head starts shaking, your hands start shaking, and then you start realizing that, okay, maybe there's something wrong. Let's go check Parkinson's. Come find out it's not Parkinson's. And the test is really simple to find out if you got Parkinson's. And he said, you can take the medication, but he also said he recommends me waiting until, if it progressively gets worse, it may not. He said really only about 10% of the population take medicine for it, which made me feel great. I don't have Parkinson's, so I'm very happy about that. Now, then we got into talking about, I started asking a lot of questions. Maybe this will kind of help a lot of veterans out that are out there. So I asked him, I said, what percentage do you see of veterans with neuropathy from the Gulf War? He even brought up Vietnam. And I was impressed with his answer. He said about 80% of his clientele are nerve problems due to some type of chemical reaction. He said, 10% are probably about diabetes. And he said the other 10%, they haven't quite figured it out yet, but they're working on it. Which I was impressed with that, because I really thought he was going to say diabetes, 80%, and, so on and so on. But dealing with the chemicals that we've had to endure out there and with the Vietnam veterans, and believe me, Iraqi freedom guys, it's coming. Y'all just wait. It's coming. I hate to say it, but they'll find something that y'all were exposed to or something y'all drank or what they gave y'all. And which I'm praying to God that it doesn't happen to any of y'all. Like with mine, which I told you, they now are convinced 110% it's my B12. My B12 caused my problems. But it gave me some pretty hopeful news today that some of my nerves will heal itself. It will never be gone, but he thinks that I will maintain what I have now. It won't get worse. It may get just a little bit better, but I will always have it, which is okay. If I have to take medicine, I can still walk, cut hair, do what I got to do. I'm perfectly happy with it. I mean, I thought I would be on a walker. When I first met the first neurologist, she flat out told me, in 5 years, you're not going to be able to cut hair. You're not going to be able to walk. You're not, you won't stand. You're going to be, using a cane, then a walker, then a wheelchair. Now, this guy, when I went in there, he's like, none of that's going to happen to you. He assured me. And I believe this guy, about 98% of what you go through is hope. Now, y'all think about that. It even goes with cancer. When you have hope, your mind can do incredible things. You should know that your mind can cure most things. And, along with the power of prayer and God, everything. But when somebody gives you that hope, that is one of the key things in my life, is I have hope. Then we start talking about, okay, what is the most common neuropathy that you see? And a lot of it is something that is digested, that causes, your nerves to get out of whack. It could be medicines. It could be the toxins that Saddam could have put off. And, I know there's a great big argument, and I need to say this, that I want to apologize. I did a Facebook Live last night, and there was a lady named Ann, and she made a really great point, but I didn't read it properly, and I took it out of context. She said that no one really believes that there's a Gulf War illness. And just like Stephen said the same thing. I don't know if any of y'all watched his interview or anything out of Illinois, But there's a lot of people that don't believe this exists. Let me tell you, every doctor that I've ran into believe this exists. They just can't say what causes it. They don't know if it was the P-tabs. They don't know if it was the anthrax shot. They don't know what shot could have possibly caused us to be going through any of this. But there is one real good lining of hope. The elections are coming up. Y'all pay attention to what I'm telling each and every one of you. I don't care if you're a Republican, Independent, Democrat, or if you just never voted in your lifetime. This time we need to get out and vote. And we need to get out and we need to get the congressmen and the senators that are going to listen to the people's voice, and especially about Gulf War. It's not talked about enough. I mean, if any congressman is listening to me or senator, why don't you put me on the Senate floor? Why don't you put me on the Congress floor? I'll tell each and every congressman up there they're full of crap whenever there's nothing to do with Gulf War illness. I mean, they wouldn't send their kids out in harm's way. They'll send them to go do something else. If they want us to do something, they need to do it also. I don't care if you give me anthrax, you got to take anthrax too. If you want to put it in your body, don't put it into mine. And so that's the point of where most of the doctors and most of us are getting at is things need to change. And the only way it changes is through our voices. That's why I bring guests on. That's why I have everybody coming in. That's what I want to accomplish with this. And the neurologist, he had to know that I was questioning him for some reason, because I started asking all these wacky freaking questions. About 10% of the Gulf War veterans that these doctors see can't even walk. They're in so much pain, but they don't know 100% what causes it. I mean, think about every bit of the test that the veterans go through, each and every one of them. But when you have 10% of the veterans that can't walk, why aren't the congressmen listening? When you have 50 to 80% of veterans with neuropathy that has nothing to do with diabetes, and they're from the Gulf War, why aren't congressmen listening to us? Because we don't scream loud enough. We don't vote these yahoos out of office like we should. What my plan is for this program and for the listeners that listen to it faithfully and the ones that are just now coming on, Kevin Brady is getting out of office. I think there's 4 or 5 people running in his place. I'm going to every single one of their meetings. And when they have debates, I'm going to bring up Gulf War illness. I want to see which congressman is going to take it serious. Then I'm going to bring it back to the listeners. I'm going to tell which ones are going to listen to what our needs are. Our needs aren't, how can I put this? Our needs aren't financially. Our needs are cures. And it isn't just nerves. It's your digestive system. It's your kidneys. It's your cancers. I mean, if there's any ray of sunshine out there, the vets should get it first. And I'll say it over and over. Why doesn't the veterans get the best health care for free? And it should be free. If their nerve agents are what they put in us or what we're exposed to the oil rigs, the burn pits, why aren't we getting the best care we can? Why aren't we in MD Anderson? Why isn't our kids at Texas Children's Hospitals getting the best care for free? On this program, each and every one of y'all have heard me say there's a lady in Florida that says she doesn't cure neuropathy, but with the way what mine is, it's curable as far as pain-free. It may still be there, but I can be pain-free up to 6 months to a year. And I know some of y'all listening to this program is like, hey, get on an airplane, go over there, do it. Hey, it's a lot of money to get on an airplane, go over there and do it when, they charge you about $3,000 just to do the thing, and you got to do 3 sets. If it's a possibility that this works, I'll be the first guinea pig up there to do it. And I brought that up to the neurologist. They still don't believe it works. Well, how do you know unless you don't look at it? So I gave him the name. I gave him where I saw it, and TikTok, it's on there. And I don't let this hamper my life, and I don't want it to hamper anybody's life. I just want answers for the vets. I want answers for myself. I want answers for my family. So that way they know what to expect and what they can do. I don't want to be a burden on my family, just like most of the veterans don't want to be a burden on their families. That's why we need hope and we need faith that one day they're going to have an answer for us and hopefully a cure. I mean, as we said last week, if they can find a vaccine in less than 1 year from us getting COVID, how come they haven't cured most of the problems that the veterans have? I mean, if anybody could explain that to me, please do. Please feel free. If you do, send me an email. I'll give you my phone number and we'll have a conversation. I mean, you can let the listeners know. I mean, to me, I don't understand it. There should be how do I put this for everybody? There should be a vaccine we can take that blocks all the pain, that blocks stuff. I mean, it's no different than whenever a veteran comes home with PTSD. And I mean, there should be something we could give to the vets to help them. Counseling. Hey, that's the first start. Oh no, they ship your ass right home and you don't get anything. I know that's a little bit off topic of my time at the VA, but I'm still angry about that. Back on topic on the neurologist. So we got more details. If any of y'all have ever done a Parkinson's test or any type of a test out there dealing with a neurologist, that's probably the most pain-free one I've ever done. I was happy about that. I thought they were going to stick needles in me and shock me like they did, a neuro test. He had me do all kinds of tests, and then he was like, let's go into a little bit more detail. I was like, well, what do you mean a little bit more detail? He goes, let's see how far your neuropathy has progressed from the medication I put you on and from where you're on gabapentin to Lyrica now. I was like, okay, I'm quite intrigued on this. He did a pull test on anyway and everything. He tried to tip me over. He, did the finger test. And he did something that because I told him I rub my fingers a lot together. And I thought it was a nervous twitch. He's like, no, from the tingling and the numbness in your hands, that's a very common thing for people with neuropathy to do. So, I was like, okay. When we were done with it, he was like, there's no way. I'm ruling out Parkinson's. There's no way you got it. He died. He said, likely I got this over here. And so with the pyramid, and he was showing me, and he said, but the difference with Lyrica and gabapentin, you can take a really high dose of. I was on 2,700 milligrams along with Cymbalta at 60 milligrams. Well, I'm only now, since he took me off of the gabapentin, he left me on the Cymbalta. He said that the Lyrica and the Cymbalta, the way it chemically works, it goes after them nerves and it tells them the sensory part to calm down, and which it is helping. I mean, I can wear tennis shoes now, but when I was on gabapentin, I couldn't even wear a pair of tennis shoes. It hurt so bad. I was very, very fortunate to go see the doctor on that part. I know now I'm done with my appointments. I came over to start podcasting, to today. Last night in a Facebook Live, I like to ask questions and I like people to respond, but a lot of people are very hesitant to respond. A lot of people don't like to talk about their time during Desert Storm, in which I get it. The World War I, World War II, the Vietnam, Korean guys, none of them like to talk about their experience neither. But I think one of the ways that we can heal is by talking. I do believe that. I believe that 100%. I believe that if we all got together and we sat down and had a conversation, and it's easier to talk to another vet than it is to talk to your family members. I see a lot of programs on like 22 a day, talking about 22 vets a day commit suicide. And which, is totally disgusting. It should never happen. Them guys should be treated right off the bat. But like California has the highest veterans homeless rate. Florida is second. Texas is third. North Dakota, Wyoming, South Dakota have the lowest. So what is it Wyoming and the Dakotas are doing? I mean, when you're only talking about 40-something people in the whole state, okay, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Wyoming may not have the bigger populations, but that's a very low rate of people. What should we do about that? And there is stuff we can do. That's what I'm saying. That's, we can help people coming across our borders and give them homes and give them workplaces, but we can't help the homeless veterans. I mean, something's wrong with that picture. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I do not care. When you see a homeless veteran standing out there, they should be taken care of before anybody crosses a border. I don't care what anybody says about that. And drug addictions, 35% of veterans have drug addictions or alcohol addictions. The VA doesn't really like to prescribe opioids to any veteran anymore because of the side effects, and because it's addicting, and because it's this. Well, they're going to find it somewhere else. You know what? Why can't you do medical marijuana? And I'll be honest with all y'all, I have never tried marijuana in my life. I just haven't. I can honestly put my hand on the Bible and say I've never tried marijuana. But I will tell you that medical marijuana, from the readings that I found, and I even had a customer that he has a marijuana farm in Colorado for medical, that's safer than giving them, Fentanyl or any of that kind of stuff. And I don't know why the VA hasn't picked up on that. I do remember hearing Biden and Harris say that they were going to legalize it. Well, legalize it through the VA. Make it to where the VA can give these veterans with cancer, the veterans with any type of major illness that are suffering, give them medical marijuana. Why not? I don't know why they shouldn't. I mean, I know in Colorado, you got it on every street corner almost in certain areas that you can just walk in and buy candy made out of it. I mean, I don't know why we're not looking at marijuana as a resource for pain medicine or for some type of cure to fight the opioid addiction problems. And that's just my opinion. And of course, if they knew that 697,000 troops deployed over to the Gulf War were going to end up having neurological problems or severe type of problems from the chemical agents and from what we were, poked with and had to take, why didn't they send a letter out to us? I mean, they knew it back in 95. Go look at it. It's on the va.gov site. So I know some things I may be, I've already said it in my other podcasts, but it needs to be highlighted. Everything needs to be highlighted over and over until it gets through veterans who need help's head out there, And I know when I like talking with Aaron Horniman, just to give y'all an update on him, I talked to him the other day, and he has signed up for the burn pit. He's got a test coming up. I know some veterans have been denied. Don't let that discourage you from going back and redoing it again. There's 9 places that they literally have on there. Bahrain's one of them. Kuwait's one of them that is on the burn pit registry. The Gulf of Oman. So all of us were out there. You got to go back and you got to keep going with it and keep fighting. Never give up on that. So the other ones, go to your local VFW if you need help. I've talked about DAV, VSO, but your VFW, literally, they're veterans helping veterans. And that's that is fantastic. And so just don't get discouraged when y'all go out. And I hope Aaron's listening to this, because let me tell y'all, when you file your first claim, as I said before, you're going to be denied. And they'll probably deny you again. Keep fighting. Don't stop fighting. If you have questions, email me at on anything as far as, okay, who could I get a hold of at such and such place, or I'm in this state. What type of person should I talk to? If I'm in Wyoming, if I'm South Dakota, North Carolina, Washington, any of that stuff, I can help you locate who you need to talk to. You can email me at kevinsimon@goforcesideffects.com. Now, I would like to ask for each and every one of y'all out there that are my listeners, or just now to the program, share this podcast. Let's get this podcast going. I want this podcast all over the world. I want people to know I'm still trying to get people overseas. I'm working with a few people to be able to get overseas and get on their stuff, and we're working it out. We're on, Apple Podcasts. Amazon picked us up. Google. I mean, we're almost on every major platform. iHeartRadio, we're working on that. We still haven't understand why they haven't picked us up. But next week, next Monday at 4:00, we will be going live on Facebook while I'm doing the podcast. I know I release the podcast on Thursdays, but I want to go Facebook Live if anybody has questions, to where they can ask and I can help them get answers. And I want people to be able to see what a difference that we can all make if we help each other. I want to thank each and every one of my listeners out there. And I want to thank everybody for all their support that they're giving to veterans out there. And remember, Veterans Day is coming up on November 11th. So make sure you give a veteran a big old hug. So again, my email is kevinsimon@goforcesideffects.com. Email me. Go to the Facebook page if you want to get a hold of me there at Go Force Side Effects on Facebook. Like and share. I appreciate it. Thank you.